Hi, friends. Welcome back. So, we're talking Disney business and Marvel news. Robert Downey Jr. is going to be coming back to the Marvel Universe as Doctor Doom. He'll be playing the main villain this time, not the hero. And what's interesting about this is that Doctor Doom, if you don't familiar with the character, it's a masked character. So, Robert Downey Jr. doesn't have to show his face. And if he does, maybe it's going to be all ugly and stuff like that. They'll put a bunch of makeup on him. The thing is, which I think is interesting about this, is like, okay, if you're going to bring him back and you're bringing him back as a mask character, that means you don't really need to show him. You could have casted anyone, and I promise you other actors would have been a lot cheaper, because before, if you don't know, they had to pay Robert Downey Jr. a whole bunch of money. He got paid a lot more than the other actors in the Avengers movies. And the thing I find really interesting about this is, like, I was kind of getting under the impression he didn't want to do it anymore. But I have a feeling, Disney opened up their checkbook and got him to get back in there. I mean, let's be honest here. Money does talk. And then talking about money, Disney stock has actually been, if you've been invested in this thing the past year, up about 4%. So, not that great when you compare it to other stocks in the market. If you look at the last 5 years, not good at all. Actually, it's down 37%. And essentially, they had to go through, a couple things. So one would be the COVID stuff, which affects, a lot of their business. So cruise ships, theme parks. Also, too, you have to stop production of many of your, films and TV shows. And also, too, you're kind of at like peak saturation of superhero stuff. And like, there's just so much Avengers movies and things like that. Like, how much more does an audience want, right? You might be getting too much. And you're facing a demographic problem. There was this article, which I keep showing you guys, but I just want to show it again because I think it's one of the most important articles that's just come out in the last couple of weeks. It says Disney has a kid crisis. Two things. So one is people are having less children, right? So traditionally Disney was, a company that would make kid content, right? Animation, Snow White and Seven Dwarfs, Mickey Mouse, this kind of stuff you guys know. And these days, though, kids, a lot of them are just watching YouTube, right? So YouTube is free content, and then after that is Netflix, and after that is Disney Plus. And so kids aren't really necessarily growing up with Mickey Mouse or Donald and these kind of things. And, audiences are different, less kids, I said. And so then also, too, you have a problem with much of your audience of, say, my age. I'm 49, and I grew up with, say, Marvel Comics or Star Wars, these kind of things. And so, like, I don't really want to watch kid movies, right? That's just me. And I'm not alone, because there's an army of internet, essentially people out there that want more violent stuff, and they complain about if you change characters around, etc. I'm not necessarily complaining all the time, but I'm just saying that, I'm part of the demographic that grew up with, superhero stuff. And we just made a review about Deadpool, if you want to see our thoughts on that, because Deadpool Wolverine is a rated R movie, which I think reflects sort of the identity crisis that Disney is having. Who are we making content for? Moreover, you're also talking about a worldwide content. So, Disney's like, okay, are we making content for other countries? Are we making content for the US market? Are we making content for kids, for adults? Who knows? Moreover, if you guys don't know, I used to work in Hollywood. This is actually a picture of the last time I was at the Disney. I took a meeting over there, and I actually write about this stuff in my book if you want to hear more of that kind of thing. It's called Positive Angle, and grab it on Amazon. And if you like the channel, I always encourage you to pick up a copy of the book. Now, going back to Disney, thankfully, Disney workers are not going on strike. I laugh because I think this is going to be a big problem going forward for many companies. Essentially, it's just what it is. Things cost more money, right? Things cost more money. Workers are like, hey, you got to pay me more. And companies, also need to please Wall Street, where they need to show profits. And so, if a company can, they'll get away with paying people nothing, right? Let's be real. But, essentially, if people are like, collectively come together and say, actually, these signs are pretty funny. When we fight, we win. Disney workers rising. Here's another one. Magic doesn't pay the bills. That was my favorite one. Cast members deserve a living wage. And there were, and I don't mean to laugh that people get low wages. I mean, the signs are funny, because I was going to mention, like, you'll hear things of where people that work over at the Disneyland theme parks, where they have to have two jobs, just to survive, because Anaheim, Orange County, or if you live in LA or whatever in that area, it's not cheap. And the other thing is too, is that I guess there, you hear these stories of people working, live in their car and work over at Disney. So, I don't blame these people for going on strike. Or I should say sign the authorization to go on strike, and then the union leaders made some sort of deal There was no details. I don't know how much of a pay raise they're going to get or whatever, but certainly that will eat in Disney's bottom line. And we'll see if they ended up ratifying it. Essentially, how this works is the deal gets made with the leaders and then Disney execs, and then it goes to the union to vote on said thing. This also comes at a time, right? So this is why I'm bringing up the Robert Downey Jr. thing, and who knows what they're going to pay that guy. Is that you're dealing with U.S. consumers that keep showing signs of that they may be exhausted. So I always bring this stuff up because when you talk about any kind of business, you need consumers that have money to buy your said stuff, right? And so you're dealing with two things. One is, are you producing quality content that people want to go see? And also, two, do people have money to even pay for said thing? I think, in my opinion, I haven't seen the script, so I don't know, and I'm not privy to that. But they're going with the Russo brothers. They're going with Avengers. They're going with Doctor Doom. Before, there actually was going to be a different character. It was going to be Kang, but that actor had some court, what's that word to say? We'll say domestic violence issues, and is out. And so now they apparently have rewritten the script, and now it's Doctor Doom. It's going to be Doomsday and then Secret Wars. I grew up with the stuff, as mentioned, and I read through the Secret Wars comics. They were really fun. So if it end up going that way, it'll probably be fun. And Russo Brothers, they have a pretty good track record of making entertaining movies. How long is this going to be? So if you're into this stuff, Avengers Doomsday, May 2026, and then Avengers Secret Wars, May 2027. Although you never know with this stuff if it ends up getting pushed back. You never know. It's certainly a possibility. They also announced Fantastic Four. I think they got a pretty good cast on this one. Fantastic Four, though, because I think there's been 3 Fantastic Four movies. I could be wrong. Is there 2 or 3? Actually, no. And there's even one that was like so bad that they how can I say, completely got rid of it. you can find pictures of the thing. It was like a really, really cheap version, but there are a couple official versions of the thing. But I don't know. It just never really worked in Hollywood. But the new version, I think they're gonna pull it off. If I had to just look at the cast and say, hey, at least the actors are good. So it's gonna be Pedro, and I think that's Vanessa Kirby. These are names. And then there's one guy in here, Joseph Quinn, who I had to look up. Even Moss, I don't know either. I had to look up, but I mentioned Joseph because he was actually in Stranger Things, and as a sort of like a guest star, you want to call it, or a season star, like someone who comes in just for one season, not part of the main cast. He's really good. He's really, really good. So I know these 3 are good here, and then the 4th guy, I'll just assume he's good. I think he's gonna play the thing, so you probably won't see his face anyway. He's probably just gonna voice it. Yeah, Ben Grimm the Thing. So probably we're gonna be pretty good. The director seems to be good as well. So I think you got Avengers gonna come out is gonna be good. Fantastic Four. So those seems to be like a winner. Captain America, the new one. Mackey's pretty good, the actor. They also got Harrison Ford in this thing. I'm just showing you guys like what's coming out, and can Disney make money? I mean, it looks like they're pulling out some stuff, because there was a period where the Marvel movies just weren't that great, and I think what happened was they just rushed them. Essentially, they tried to essentially money grab, because and I don't blame them in the sense of like, if you saw the money that Endgame brought in, they're just like, hey, we got to keep pushing these things out while the audience is willing to pay, but now it seems like they going back to the drawing board. There still could be a couple flops in here. So even though I like Mackie, and I think the Captain America movies have been pretty good in the past, and I like Harrison Ford as well. That's and true story. This is Mackie when he was young. He was actually in 8 Mile with Eminem. If you ever saw that, it's pretty funny. But they're going with a director, Julius Ona. I don't know. It's a strange one, because it doesn't seem to appear to me that he's, how can I say, experienced. And also, too, I want to bring this up as well. With the Thunderbolts movie, this is the cast of that one, which they have a good cast. But again, I don't know. This Jake Schreier guy, I don't think he's that experienced either. So of some of the new movies that they announced, so like the Avenger ones looks pretty experienced directors. But then the Captain America and then the Thunderbolts one, maybe not so experienced. And then I think Fantastic Four looks to be pretty good. So, and the other thing with the Thunderbolts one, and to talk about their cast a bit, is I think a couple people have already dropped out of the cast of this one. So, is it gonna be good or not? Who knows? I'm a little bit more leery on this one, because I think they got like so many characters that they're bringing in, and then the other stuff, which I think will be more of their home runs for Marvel. Well, this guy wasn't a home run. I forgot. This is the one that I said he had the domestic dispute problems, and he dropped out. He's a good actor, but you just can't have someone out there that's doing whatever they're doing. Just you don't get rid of them. They could have recasted the role, but again, they're just bringing in Robert Downey Jr. instead and just change the character entirely. The thing I want to mention though with Disney is the Blade movie. They actually did cast it. So this guy's actually really really good. But I think they've been having trouble with the script and director. I read a little bit of it. There's just the creative differences, and then this has been sort of in development hell. So I think how do you say his name? Mahershala Ali. I think he was in, because I remember was it in Moonlight, and I think I've seen him in something else. I don't know who Mia Goth is, but again, this is in development hell. And the other one they didn't mention was X-Men, which should be a big hit for Marvel if that comes out. They just had the what do you call it? The Wolverine and I'm having a brain fart here. The Wolverine and Deadpool movie, and Hugh Jackman plays Wolverine. There was a rumor they were going to recast Wolverine, maybe Kit Harington from Game of Thrones, but no word on that. I think probably you're going to cast Wolverine first as being your star, and then who knows? In the animation, this was their lineup, and they brought back the original animation with a little bit new characters. So Morph is in the new animation. We haven't seen it. It's over on Disney Plus. It's pretty good. And they could mix it up, but these are the characters that essentially like myself grew up with. And so that's again what is Marvel doing, or / Disney. Are they going for kids? Are they going for adults? Are they going to try to go for everybody? It's tough, right? So you need some sort of identity here. There was no announcement, and this is all coming from Comic-Con, on what's going on with the new Loki season, or are they going to be integrated in the Avengers? And then going back to say the Star Wars stuff. And it's kind of funny because when I was thinking about this, when I looked at the whole child demographic stuff, and thinking about all the internet people that always complain about Star Wars doing this and Star Wars doing that, and you killed my childhood and that stuff. It's like, but this is the challenge that they face is, so let's say like Mandalorian, right? Do you want a really dark show? Who are you making it for? And so then they, have to include cute Baby Yoda, and I like Baby Yoda. I mean, I think we all like Baby Yoda, but it definitely makes the show a lot less dark than what you could make it, right? Should Disney go with more animations, right? This kind of stuff, Clone Wars. This stuff's fun. I've seen some of this stuff, but not everyone wants to do it. So some people, so for example, my wife, she's just not really into any kind of animated stuff that much. When I always say, hey, do you want to watch Clone Wars with me? It's fun. She's like, no. But if I say, hey, do you want to watch Baby Yoda? She'll say, fine, right? So they're in a tough spot all the time, I think, Disney, because it's like, what audience are you going for? And moreover, like I was mentioning before, guys, in the past, say in the 1950s, 1960s, people were having more kids back then, right? Kids dreamed about going to Disneyland, and Disney had a lot less competition for that kind of content. Nowadays, you got to fight Netflix, which is, obviously a behemoth in the room. And one of the things that they're doing, which is really interesting, is they're kind of rethinking their business model in terms of Disney Plus. So they're going ad based, and the sort of the phrase for this thing is hours per subscriber. And so one of the things that they do over there now is they're kind of switching to, I won't call it live TV, I'll just say live TV. So for example, I guess you can watch Simpsons over there now at Disney, or other long running series. And then when you click on the series, it'll just keep playing. It won't stop. It'll just go from season 1 all the way to whatever they're at in season 11 or wherever, right? And so essentially they'll just let it keep running and running and running and running and running. And then you'll play ads for you, right? So that's sort of how they're going to try to raise their revenue. I don't know if audiences want that. If you want more sort of your live TV experience where you just turn on something and it just plays, forever essentially. Me personally, I prefer more sort of YouTube-y type of stuff where you just, I want to watch that video, I click it. I want to watch the video, I click it. But I do understand. There's some audiences that would prefer just to rest, not touch anything, and just let essentially the system entertain you. And that's kind of what Disney's playing with right now, is how to think about content and what to show you. The other thing I was reading about too as well is do you go human curated content over at Disney, and Netflix has this challenge as well, or do you develop algos, which is probably more? And I don't know YouTube exactly, because YouTube doesn't really reveal this stuff. Because if we all knew exactly how the algos work, although theoretically Mr. Beast does know exactly because they tell him. and when I say that, talking about Mr. Beast here, is that Mr. Beast has like a whole separate team of advisors that just advise him. And how do I know this? It was interesting. My wife, Yeji, who's appearing on the channel, she was watching this Korean YouTuber who recently appeared on one of Mr. Beast's programs. Mr. Beast had this thing where 50 popular YouTubers went on and they did some sort of reality show where they fight for Cybertrucks or something. But the Korean YouTuber was saying that he worked directly with the YouTube office that was connected to Mr. Beast. It was just kind of interesting, and which would make sense that Mr. Beast would have like YouTube staff that work with him because he's such a massive thing, and so basically he's very corporate now. How else to say it? But the point I was trying to make though is that for these kind of companies, do you go with human curated stuff where like humans like literally push stuff out to you, or do you go with like all algo based stuff? And so that's something that they have to deal with. Regardless of something else with Disney, which I thought was kind of interesting as well, which is something that makes sense. This article just came out just a couple weeks ago. They're also renovating some of their rides. So for example, the Splash Mountain one or other things. Do we need to change the songs? Do we need to change some of the characters? Because some of the stuff, is from a time that was, we'll just say, very different and doesn't really, match modern tastes, or even that they may just, people get tired of the old rides. So that's going to take a lot of money. And, this is sort of the challenge for, any company is how do you stay relevant, essentially, right? In a new world. So, one thing that Disney can do, they can buy Doctor Who. Why not? And put on their channel. The other thing you can do as well is something that they've been doing is they're going to get with a bunch of other companies and bundle it together. And then you got like a package deal, and then basically you got cable. So the one thing I think that Disney could be doing a lot better, which I'm not sure why they're not going for, so is Korean content. And I mention this is because Netflix put in a couple $2 billion into Korean content, and you guys know I live here in Korea, but you can call me biased if you like, but I'll just say Koreans put out some pretty good stuff. They do. Watch it for yourself. I'm not just making random stuff up. Squid Game, for example, was a major hit for Netflix, and you can produce high quality content here, and it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. Basically, you can make all the full season of Squid Game, or you can pay Robert Downey Jr. for 10 minutes, right? I make joke, but that's the kind of thing that businesses for Disney, it's like, for example, just me personally, I don't think it's necessary to hire Robert Downey Jr., but I could be wrong. Maybe they, have different plans. Netflix, for example, I think is interesting is they put a whole bunch of money into professional wrestling, which the WWE is like $5 billion. Will that pay off for them? Will Disney have to match, right? This is the kind of stuff that you watch when you watch this space. I give you an example. So this is always a battle for content. Warner Brothers, they're suing the NBA because I guess the NBA went with Amazon. And from my understanding, the lawsuit was like the NBA could look for whatever contract, and then Amazon offered them that, and then the NBA chose Amazon. And then I guess the reason why Warner Brothers is suing is like, hey, we're supposed to have last say, and whatever someone offers you, we have the opportunity to match it, and then you have to go with us. But I don't know. That's why it's a lawsuit. What I mean, I don't know. I don't know who's right here. We'll see. It could just be the NBA's is like, I'm sick of you, Warner Brothers. I want to go Amazon. And it's interesting about Amazon is their streaming, and so that's the question is like, what kind of entertainment do we want these days, and what audience are we going for? I give you an example, and I mentioned this before in a different video, but I'll just mention it again. Like, for example, the Olympics has to adjust to new audiences, right? So they added breakdancing, or breaking is what they refer to it, in the Olympics. And to be perfectly frank, it might actually be really cool. The way that they're doing it is like it's all going to be battles, and then the music's going to rotate. So there's not really routines per se. It's the dancers used to have to battle another dancer or breaker, I guess you want to call these people. And then, they won't know what the music is ahead of time. So that sounds like really interesting, to be very frank. So we'll probably watch that. And if you watch the Winter Olympics, like ice skating is the most popular part. So, could breakdancing end up being the most popular part of the Summer Olympics? There is a possibility of that. And I'm just bringing this stuff up because the same way that Disney's trying to figure out, how can we push our business forward, right? It's the same way the Olympics is for how can we get our business to go forward. So these are the kind of things that you consider, when you're looking at investing in companies and business, stuff like that. So, I know for some people watch the channel, you just want to hear about the entertainment stuff, but I do like to talk about, the investment stuff as well, because I think it all matters, right? Labor costs, the economy as a whole. And do you agree with, someone's business model? This is how we're going to make money going forward. But for any business, traditionally you got to figure out, okay, how can I keep my old fans and also bring in and new fans, and also understand what is the overall demographic and the climate that you're in. So anyway, like to hear your thoughts on this stuff. What do you think about Disney's deal with, going back into Marvel and dipping into Robert Downey Jr. yet again? And do you think audiences are, ready to go for Avengers, or are we to the point to where, like, you know what, no more superheroes, bring on something else? So love to hear your thoughts on this thing, and appreciate your time, and I'll catch you all in the next video.